Everyone likes an underdog. Yes, you may have a favourite driver or team that you root for more than anyone else. However, if they have a bad race for whatever reason, your next port of call is the underdog. Cheering on the plucky driver / team that typically stay towards the back of the field, out of the way of the big dogs. The thing is though, every now and again, David comes up with the trump card. And in this video, I'll go over what in my opinion is one of the biggest giant killings racing has ever had. Saturday, June 28th, 2014. Location, Houston, Texas. The series, IndyCar. The heavens opened up next to the Reliant Park Stadium, home to the Houston Texans NFL team. Right from the off, this is going to be a race more about survival rather than full-on performance. On pole would be Simon Pagenaud, his first in IndyCar, with future Penske teammate and 4-time Indy 500 champion, as if that hasn't been said a huge number of times already, Helio Castroneves alongside him, with Carlos Munoz rounding out the 23-car field. However, unlike the current IndyCar protocol, the race would begin via a standing start. Pagenaud got away well, and so did AJ Foyt Racing's Takuma Sato, until he became the meat in the sandwich. Drivers were jockeying for position on the first lap, trying to make hay while the sun shined. Or rather, trying to fill a goldfish tank while the spray was still up in the air. The visibility initially was atrocious. How any of the drivers could see and in turn race as close as they were is beyond me. For about 30 minutes, the event was a typical IndyCar race. Great racing, with bold overtaking opportunities. However, it would end up being Takuma Sato in the lead by the time pit stops for dry tyres began. As the field cycled out after their stops, James Hinchcliffe would inherit the lead, as the first caution would fly for Mike Conway. Then a couple more cautions would fly in quick succession. First for the long-time leader Takuma Sato to get into a kerfuffle with the lap-down car of Michael Aleshin. Then Luca Filippi got into the wall as the following restart was about to proceed. Except it wasn't, because the start was waved off. James Hinchcliffe remained the leader until lap 59, where another caution, this time for Will Power, was thrown. A number of drivers stayed out, hoping to save some fuel to get to the finish line on lap... okay. Basically the last lap whenever the clock hit 0. You see, this race was meant to be 90 laps. However, due to the rain delay, it was turned into a timed race of 1 hour and 50 minutes. Some of the drivers who stayed out included Tony Kanaan and Juan Pablo Montoya. Realistically, they could get to the end, they'd just be driving within their abilities, whilst Hinchcliffe and co could go as hard as they wanted, but needed to get through several cars to get a shot at victory. But ahead of Kanaan and Montoya was Dale Coyne Racing's Justin Wilson, who last pitted on lap 28. Then behind him is Colombian Carlos Huertas, who last pitted on lap 41 in the second Dale Coyne entry. I think we'd best take a dive into Huertas' career up to this point. Huertas' car racing career began in Formula BMW's UK Championship in 2007, driving for the Raikkonen-Robertson racing team. And yes, it is that Raikkonen. After finishing 13th in that championship and then securing a 9th place the following year in the European Series, Carlos moved up to British F3 in 2009, 10 and 11, finishing in 7th, 10th and 3rd respectively. In 2012 he progressed to Formula Renault 3.5, driving for the Vortec team. After a 4th place in the first race of the season, he wouldn't achieve any higher than that the rest of the year, finishing off the season in 16th place. 2013 would yield a very similar affair. Driving for Carlin, he scored 14th place in the series, but would claim a victory in Aragon. A victory which I can't find any footage for to save my life. So you'll have to take my word for it on that one. At season's end, Carlos tested for Panther Racing for a potential IndyCar drive, but eventually signed on for Dale Coyne Racing for the full 2014 season. Now, here he was, in 2nd place, trying to hold back his racing hero, Juan Pablo Montoya, for a remarkably unlikely podium finish. Except he wasn't, because Wilson was told to pit with just 7 minutes remaining. So Huertas was now leading. He still, though, needed a yellow flag to guarantee he'd make it to the end on fuel. Cue Ryan Briscoe and Sebastian Saavedra having a collision and the caution flying. That though wouldn't be the moment that ensured a motorsport upset for the ages. Huertas was going to have to survive a one-lap shootout. However, on a track that was difficult to pass, all he needed to do was make a mistake-free lap and hope the fuel didn't run out. Ultimately though, Graham Rahal and Tony Kanaan made the job a lot simpler for him, causing the caution to be extended, and because it was the final lap, it cemented the scenario that not even Dale Coyne or Huertas himself could have imagined. And as he came across the line, arms aloft, Carlos Huertas was an IndyCar race winner. I couldn't believe my eyes watching this live. I'm not sure anybody did. Anyone who started watching the broadcast as Carlos took the checkered flag will probably be retuning their TVs to make sure they weren't going mad. Carlos didn't achieve a result better than 14th the rest of the season. His next best result that year was 8th in the first Detroit race. He finished 20th in the standings, second from last of the drivers who competed in all the races. The following year, Huertas only did 3 races before withdrawing from the Indy 500 after qualifying due to an ear infection. And ever since then, hasn't competed in IndyCar or indeed it seems any other form of racing since then. But it doesn't matter, because everyone remembers that one moment, when he and the Dale Coyne team shocked the racing world, all on brilliant strategy and some equally brilliant driving. Except, it wasn't entirely that way. It was later discovered that the car had an illegally large fuel tank and a rear wing infringement. The team and driver were both fined $5,000, but the win stood, so I guess that's all that matters. It's one of those pinch yourself moments in racing. You don't expect them to happen, or even think that they'll ever happen. So when one of these moments does occur, it makes them all the sweeter to enjoy. It's that moment who made a driver's legacy go from, sorry, can you repeat the name again please? To, oh yeah, that's the driver who took the most unlikely of victories. If indeed we won't see him in racing ever again, then at least Huertas has a legacy and a career that he can look back on fondly. That though is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. What are your thoughts on this race and Carlos Huertas? Plus, what was your reaction to him winning this race? I nearly spilt my drink. Say in the comment section below. However, until the next video, enjoy the rest of your day.